You've seen nothing if you haven't seen this. Denzel Washington told an elite Hollywood directors roundtable to check their hubris after seeing success in the industry, while subtly revealing to the rest of us the kind of culture that exists in the movie business. This is a clip that seems to be getting more relevant with age as the industry's past creative peak starts to taper off and people start asking questions about how its inner circle works. Take a look at this.
What was your first job, or what was your worst job?
I was a garbage man, like Troy. You get 8 hours worth of work, but you can do it in 3. So you can go home as soon as you finish. Post office, you get 3 hours worth of work and you make it last 8. I did both. I like being a garbage man better. But they weren't bad jobs. It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here. Your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a gift. Obviously, everybody here is talented enough to do that, but don't get it twisted. It's just a movie. It ain't that big a deal.
Denzel is an absolute class act for this. In an industry where it's so easy to self-aggrandize and feel self-important, I think we can point to where this grounded humility in him is actually coming from. For example, how many people do you think can hold on to their belief in a higher power inside a flashy movie industry where God is so easy to forget? Certainly not, and it's that high power that is the source of gratitude and humility for Denzel personally, making clear the impact of his religious belief with this statement, and I quote, "We always started the day with prayer. There's all kinds of little miracles that you can run into that you didn't anticipate."
Put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God.
It's so easy for a generation of new actors to scoff at the religious belief, especially surrounded by an industry that in its very nature does not induce a grounded humility with all the constant public spotlight. And that's why what Denzel Washington just said there is so incredible, sitting across a group of Hollywood elite directors and saying this truth to their face. On his left and right are people like Oliver Stone and Mel Gibson, who have their share of controversies and occasionally fly off the handle on contentious issues. None of that happens when celebrities and movie actors think of themselves as not much different from anyone else that works and not let the clout, money, and fame go to their head. If you look at Denzel Washington's career, you realize that he's actually been like this most of his life. Watch him describe an incident during the filming of the movie Antoine Fisher back over 2 decades ago, revealing where his humility comes from.
They say, oh, if you lose that feeling, then you should quit. I wish I could lose that feeling, for that night, and it was just sheer terror. Or you got to go out there. They're waiting, and you got to go. As a director, when I was working on Antoine Fisher, we had a scene down in San Diego at the Naval Yard, and there's like 10 ships and not 20,000, felt like 20,000 people, maybe 3,000, 4,000. And I didn't want to come out of the trailer. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I said, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I got myself in trouble. And the AD actually talked me into coming out. And once I got out, all right. Then I was off to the races.
It's incredible that an actor as senior as him would admit to this vulnerability and shortcoming, shedding for once the perfect exterior that so many other stars try to put on. That's what makes Denzel Washington so beautifully human and so relatable as an individual. Look at most of the rest of Hollywood and what do you see? It's a false and picture-perfect persona that everyone tries to put on, making the audience always remind them of what they lack and how they fall short. That's not what Denzel Washington wants to be, and if you look at how he was brought up, it's not just religion or God that played a role in his grounded personality, but also the impact of his mother on him. In one interview, Denzel Washington remembered what his mother said to him when he finally broke out as a young actor. "Oh, you did it all by yourself? I'll tell you what you can do by yourself. Go outside, get a mop and bucket, and clean these windows. You can do that by yourself, superstar." It's clear that having such a worldview instilled in him, it could not be dented even in the 4 decades that he's been inside an industry like Hollywood. There's an incredible interview of him that not many people have seen where Denzel reveals just how critical the first few films are for not just an actor's place in the industry, but also for creating the kind of person that he becomes after fame.
I think it was when we came to Soldier's Play, and he said, "You're good."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I got a part in a movie in 1986. I called it The They Couldn't Kill.
Oh.
Yeah, he was supposed to be, he was a white woman, and they tried to electrocute him, but it didn't work. And he became sort of a cult hero. No, not that one. That was the other awful one. But and then they tried to hang him, and they tried to do all this stuff, and I had a lot of training day in me.
It's clear when you notice the reaction of the audience that there are some subjects that solicit laughter while others induce complete silence, and it's that pattern of reaction that over time shapes an actor and his public persona when he understands how people respond to different things. In all of that, it takes an exceptionally strong-willed individual like Denzel Washington to not be swept away with the audience's whims and emotions, and instead know where he's going to stand both intellectually and in his high place in the industry. And I think it's that character that ports over into this professional life, showing that on screen with films like Fences and Malcolm X.
There were some Jewish people in the audition, and I said, yeah. They said, no, it's funny. It's like they hang them and then they can't. I said, yeah, like you bring some Jewish people into a room and they think it's a shower, but it's gas. Oh. And they said, right. I said, right, that ain't funny. So to me, it wasn't funny about putting a rope around my MFN neck either. I made a point. He says, but I can tell you this. The first 2 or 3 or 4 films you do in this business will dictate how you're perceived in this business. Mm-hmm. So you make a decision. You know, he didn't tell me what to do, and I'll give him credit for that. And I turned it down, and 6 months later, I got Cry Freedom and got an Oscar nomination.
That means in the end, he gained a lot more than he lost, and it was always worth it. Denzel Washington has solidified his place as one of the few greatest names to have come out of the industry. None of it came from hubris and high-handedness, but from understanding there was always someone out there better than him, and that the world was ultimately a lot larger than him or his work. It's so easy for people in the industry to get wrapped up in themselves with the cameras in their face and the protocols they receive, but anyone who understands how ephemeral that is knows that their place can quickly be taken away. What cannot be taken away is the legacy a person leaves in the hearts of their fans, and that only comes when the fans can relate with the star. Denzel Washington has found the perfect balance in doing that. In fact, it's actually because of how humble and grounded he is that he's been able to shine brighter in the industry than anyone else. And that means he's created a space for him in the world that's large enough to accommodate everyone that loves and respects him.